Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. 3 people in their 20s are due to face a Tasmanian court after being extradited from Sydney on drug charges late this afternoon. It's alleged the trio is part of a syndicate responsible for importing large quantities of ice into the state. Our report.
Late this afternoon, a 22-year-old and 24-year-old man and a 25-year-old woman arrived here at Hobart Airport from New South Wales. They were arrested on Tuesday in Sydney following an investigation which has lasted months.
All 3 have been charged with trafficking in a controlled substance, namely crystal methamphetamine, or otherwise known as ice.
It's alleged the 3 are part of a syndicate that is responsible for importing and distributing the drug in Tasmania over a significant period of time.
Recent police intelligence and arrests reinforce the view that illicit drugs are being imported into Tasmania and not manufactured here. Criminals involved in the importation and distribution of drugs in Tasmania are on notice.
Police won't confirm the quantities surrounding those accusations other than saying that it is significant. Authorities also charging a 39-year-old man from Austin's Ferry. They say he is also part of that syndicate.
We will identify you. We will continue to target our main corridors, being the sea, air, mail and freight avenues into this state.
Police made it very clear today that this investigation is an ongoing one. The trio will face court next Wednesday, while the man from Austin's Ferry will appear in April. As always, anyone with information should contact Crime Stoppers.
Bus drivers have walked off the job today in the latest pay row that threatens to escalate across the state. Not everyone got the memo, with some travellers left stranded.
The shutters firmly down over Launceston's bus fleet. The drivers out on the streets in the latest protest headache for Tasmania.
I've been here for 26, 27 years. There's drivers that have been in Launceston for 30 or 40 years and they're feeling disgruntled. They don't like the way that we're being treated.
The union wants a pay rise of 2% plus CPI, roughly taking it to 5% a year. Metro isn't on board, sticking with the government's 2% wage cap.
We'll make sure you get home safe. That's our job. Help us do it.
Drivers say it's not just a pay rise they're busting for.
You can be rostered legally up to 5 hours, and that's 5 hours of behind the wheel in the same position without being able to go to the toilet, without being able to get to stretch.
Today's protest might have been small, but at least the state government is taking notice.
Tasmanians do not like union disruption. They do not like strike action.
Not everyone got the message about today's 4-hour disruption.
I've been waiting for about an hour, so I didn't realise what was going on. So I know 2 o'clock's nearly coming up, so it's all right.
More delays could be on the way if the union's 400 drivers vote down Metro's offer next week. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
They are some of society's most vulnerable people and they're often easy prey for online scammers. Now, authorities are stepping in to stop cybercrime against Tasmanians with a cognitive disability.
3 years ago, Alfred Archer fell victim to an online scam. Money launderers took advantage of the 49-year-old and it's left a lasting legacy.
Well, I don't trust anybody anymore unless I meet them face to face like you.
Stories like Alfred's have prompted authorities to step in. The Australian Federal Police have extended the Think You Know safety program, tailoring it to protect people with a cognitive disability.
It is really profound. We're finding an increasing trend in number of people with a disability who are getting entwined into cybercrime, and whether that looks like harassment or bullying.
The program is simply another tool within the Think You Know program.
Nearly 18,000 cases of online child exploitation material, grooming, blackmail and manipulation were reported to the AFP last year.
It's very difficult to determine where the offences have originated from. Whilst the victim may be in Tasmania, the actual perpetrator of these crimes could be on the mainland or overseas.
Alfred has his own blunt advice for those worried they could be in trouble.
Get out quick, sensible, can't see the police, get the police involved. be upfront and honest of what you've done.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
St Helens has joined the race to become the next big mountain biking destination. Work has now started on the $1.6 million Bay of Fires trail. The track will start at Blue Tier in Pemina, running 46 kilometres to Swimcart Beach. Construction is expected to be completed by the end of the year. A Tasmanian marine centre has become home to some critically endangered fish on the verge of extinction. Conservationists saying just 3,000 spotted handfish currently remain in the state's waters, and it may take years of recovery for numbers to increase.
A Tasmanian marine species currently under threat. These 10 baby spotted handfish were brought to Woodbridge Marine Discovery Centre this week in a bid to save the population.
They're critically endangered, which means they're at a high risk of extinction. So there's only about 3,000 left in the wild. With the Zeebles handfish, another species, they haven't been seen since 2007.
With numbers declining in the Dontricasto Channel and Derwin Estuary.
The handfish like to hide in little rocks and amongst shells, and a lot of siltation comes down and covers that up. And then there's the introduced sea star from the Northern Pacific, which is actually eating their eggs as well as their habitat.
And primary school kids now have the chance to get up close with the rare fish.
It's mainly a sensory experience for children at this age, so just to look with their senses and just to experience what the marine animals are like firsthand.
It'll take 2 to 3 years until these baby spotted handfish become fully grown adults, but it'll take even longer until conservationists start introducing the endangered creatures back into the wild.
These will probably be the captive ones for producing more offspring. There are other moves afoot, for example, putting artificial structures under the sea for them to lay their eggs on, so that will help them in the immediate term. It is definitely a long-term project.
Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmania News.
Soccer clubs in Hobart's northern suburbs are in for a major boost, with plans announced today for a new junior football hub in Chigwell. Independent MP Andrew Wilkie securing $12.8 million in federal funding to add facilities and 2 synthetic grounds at the existing Metro Football Club.
We should be investing in a sport like this, and we should be investing in a sport like this in a place like this, because in the northern suburbs in particular, there are not nearly enough soccer pitches and facilities for a code that has so many followers.
Construction is set to begin later this year. Spiegel Tent is officially back in town, with the travelling tent hosting a range of shows which is sure to impress crowds. Its headline act, Deluxe Deluxe, is set to pump action and some sparkle onto Hobart's waterfront.
Flamingos in position and legs strapped in tight. The show is ready to roll. The travelling tent back in Hobart for its 6th year, with its headline act all set to dazzle Tasmanian audiences.
This is insane. This is so great. We travelled from Hollywood, California to come here to Hobart and do this show because it's just the best.
Deluxe Deluxe is amazing because it's kind of adults only, and it's great for Hobart to have that kind of sophistication, but the performers are from all around the world. And so, you know, it's amazing to have this wealth of talent here in Hobart.
They're debuting their first show tonight, with some performances defying the odds. This Australian aerialist possesses the rare and nail-biting skill of hair hanging.
You get this moment where they're like, no way, she's not doing that, is she? She can't be doing that. And then it's just this mouth dropping. Yeah, I love watching people's reactions to it. So it's definitely it's exciting for me to watch them as for them to see it. So it's amazing.
And tickets to the colourful spectacular are selling fast.
People are across all demographics are really getting into it, and you know, as they say, it was the event that taught Tasmanians that you've got to book a ticket.
It's beautiful lighting, beautiful costumes. The performers are insane. They're just the best, and it's a blast.
The eye-popping sensation is on at the Spiegel Tent until March 31st. Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanian school students have heard from 8 inspiring speakers at an event marking International Women's Day. Among those sharing their stories, a neuroscientist and a retired school teacher who worked before a time when gender discrimination laws were implemented.
When I was teaching at Alston High School, it was a very big school, and there was only one female in leadership, and she was for home economics, and that was cooking and sewing, and boys didn't do cooking and sewing, so it had to be a female.
So if you take advantage of the things that you have access to in schools, then all these girls in the audience today will see that they really can create whatever future they want for themselves.
More than 100 students attended.
Tasmania must find something special to catch Victoria in its Sheffield Shield clash. An unbeaten century to Wilpakovski helped to extend Victoria's lead to well beyond 400 runs with 1 day left to play. The competition's title favourite had the upper hand over Tasmania coming into day 3, but there was one lower order batsman Victoria hadn't counted on.
Rainbird, who edges wide of short, and it's 4 more.
Sam Rainbird was having no trouble finding the Junction Oval's boundary rope, hitting 8 fours during his time at the crease, including one to bring up his half-century. But when Gabe Bell went for 15, it was only a matter of time before Tasmania's innings would wind up. A simple catch off a missed time flick of the ball had the Tigers all out for 286. Back in the field, Tasmania's early breakthrough came from the star of the first innings, Riley Meredith.
Who's hit on the pad, that has to be close. The umpire is giving that out.
Travis Dean gone again for a low score, just 11, but there was no stopping Wilpakovski.
He's gone the edge and he's just got it wide of gully, and that'll go down to the rope for 4.
The rising star had a big hitting partner in Nick Maddinson.
What a shot! That's onto the bank.
The Tigers could only watch as the Vicks brought up more milestones, a Wilpakovski century and an unbeaten half-century to Cameron White, before the home side declared with a 475-run lead. Tasmania is now staring down a mammoth run chase with just 1 day of play to go. Supercars action continues in Melbourne next weekend before teams turn their attention to the Apple Isle. 2 drivers rising the ranks were cooling off in Hobart today before things go up a gear when a milestone weekend rolls around at Symmons Plains. Hobart's cooler climate must have been soothing for Supercars rookie Gary Jacobson, who had sweated out in Adelaide on the weekend.
I think it was 40 degrees outside and about 60 degrees in the car, so yeah. Blisters on the hands, blisters on feet, just from the sheer heat.
The only hot cars here were the hotted up Holden Monaros, out on show to mark 50 years since Norm Beachy drove one to victory in the first ever championship race at Symmons Plains. The competition now is tighter than ever.
You look back in the 80s and even early 90s and there's seconds covering the top 10. Now we're looking at a second covering 28 cars, 26 cars.
Scott Pye's looking to build on a career best season last year, which included setting the weekend's fastest lap time at Symmons Plains.
You go back to every event and you hit reset on your goals and expectations, and the more years you do and the more laps you do, you realise that you've just got to put your best foot forward and make the most of the package you got on that day.
For Nissan rookie Jacobson, there's naturally a rivalry between him and the season's other graduate, Macaulay Jones, although it's fair to say Jacobson's in better shape after round 1.
Macaulay Jones is in the wall hard. Huge damage on the back of the car.
I've raced against Macaulay Jones in the Super 2 category for quite a fair few years, so the rivalry is pretty good. But I think for me, if I can get into the top 20 as much as I can and just keep consolidating championship points, keep finishing races and showing the team that I can keep the damage bill low, I think that's the main effort for me.
This year's racing at Symmons Plains is on the first weekend of April. Meanwhile, an equestrian legend is in the state to oversee this weekend's Tasmanian Pony Club State Eventing Championships. Barry Roycroft, who rode at 3 Olympic Games and is a member of the Sports Hall of Fame, will be among those judging. He also remembers competing at Wynyard in the early 80s.
When they actually closed the freeway to run the cross-country course across the road, it is unbelievable for a young person to have an association with an animal, but particularly with a horse. It teaches them so much. It teaches them about responsibility. It teaches them about having to be on time.
More than 100 horses will compete for 8 championships at the event, which runs from Saturday to Monday in Smithton.
Good evening. It's been a cool and cloudy day across the state today with light showers about the west and north. Hobart reached a top of 20 degrees. Burnie and Devonport both 19 degrees. Launceston also 19. Friendly Beach had the state's high today with 21 degrees. Flinders Island 19. St Helens 20. Smithton 19 and Low Head 18 degrees. Maria Island with 20. King Island and Ooze both 19. To the satellite now, which shows cloud coming in from the west pushing across the state. Zooming out, and there's a low pressure system and associated cold front in the Southern Ocean. The cloud band extends over southwestern WA. Tomorrow's chart shows a high pressure system over Victoria. A low pressure system sits in the Southern Ocean and along the north coast of the continent. To boating, winds 12 to 20 knots about the north, shifting southwesterly in the morning, swells up to 4 metres. A gale wind warning is current for waters between southeast Cape and Low Rocky Point, and a strong wind warning is current for remaining eastern, southern and western coastal waters from St Helens Point to Sandy Cape. And a small craft wind alert for the southwest and central plateau lakes. A partly cloudy day for Hobart tomorrow, 20 the top, Huonville 20 and Campania 22. Launceston is showing 23 with a possible morning shower, Devonport 21 and Georgetown 20. Burnie 21 degrees, Strawn 19 and Wynyard 21. St Helens 23, Swansea 24, Port Arthur 20 degrees. The UV is 7 and 8 across the state, which is still regarded as high. To the 3-day forecast now, Saturday's looking fine in the north, light showers elsewhere with light winds tending easterly in the south and east. Sunday, fine with showers developing in the west and extending statewide in the afternoon, and northeasterly winds tending northwesterly in the afternoon. Monday's forecast, showers in the west, far south and Bass Strait Islands, but fine elsewhere. Interstate now, Perth 28, partly cloudy. Adelaide also 28, partly cloudy. Melbourne 25 and Canberra 29, a top of 27 for Sydney, partly cloudy there, and Brisbane 30 degrees with a shower or two. And currently in Hobart, it's 18 degrees, partly cloudy. Launceston 17, mostly cloudy. Devonport 17, mostly cloudy also. Joe, that's the weather forecast. There's certainly a change in the air, but he's hoping for a few more summer evenings before we're rugging up. Back to you.
Oh, Miss Jessie, we would like a few more summer evenings with you, that's for sure. Well, that's all from your news team for now. Thanks so much for your company. We'll see you a little later. Bye-bye.